Hello, welcome to Dual Credit U.S. History B, Unit 2. Um, Once again, guys, this is super cool stuff, and it talks about really the area in between the wars and what was going on during the Great Depression, and it's super interesting stuff. Okay, lesson 6 talks about the Roaring Twenties and talks about the Prohibition and flappers and consumerism and the Jazz Age. Super interesting stuff, and I love to learn about the Roaring Twenties. I think it's so fun. My husband's grandfather was a sold booze out of his house at this time, so and I watched a documentary about prohibition. Anyway, super interesting stuff. Okay, and then lesson 7 talks about the culture and the tension. Talks about the Red Scare, the culture clash, the lost generation, kind of all of what was going on during the 1920s. Then lesson 8 talks about the Great Depression. Talks about the causes of the Great Depression, the feeling of the Great Depression, talks about Herbert Hoover. This is not Herbert Hoover, okay? This is President Roosevelt, who came in after Herbert Hoover, okay? There were Hoovervilles that were started, that were little, setups during Hoover's presidential period. And then on lesson 9, we'll learn more about FDR and the New Deal. Okay, we'll learn about the Dust Bowl and kind of the timeline, the first 100 days of FDR, and what really happened during the New Deal. Okay, then okay, this right here is the picture that you are going to do a discussion post about. And I will show you the discussion guide. Um, okay, so the discussion guide takes you through a bunch of pictures that were taken by Dorothea Lange. Dorothea Lange was hired by the US government to take pictures of kind of life during the Depression and what was going on during the Depression. And you'll see kind of the progression of all of these pictures and then what ended up at the end, which was this picture. So what I want you to do is go through that, highlight unfamiliar words in green, highlight what you think is important in blue. Tell me how you see the photograph progressing. What do you think the woman is saying in her eyes in the photograph? And give me just kind of what you think about the photograph. I think it's a really telling one about the Great Depression and about what was going on. Okay. Then lesson 10 talks about the second New Deal, and it talks about the kind of the programs that we still have, such as Tennessee Valley Authority and the WPA. And, we have Social Security because of the Great Depression and all of that kind of stuff. Okay. It also kind of it should at least talk about court stacking, which was happening during this period of time as well, which meant that President Roosevelt was getting upset because the Supreme Court was saying that what had been passed in the New Deal was unconstitutional, and so then he wanted to make more justices come to the Supreme Court, which is not really that good of an idea. You can't just do that in order to make your stuff pass. But then a bunch of the justices ended up not being able to fill their roles anyway, and not even or dying or whatever, and so he was able to stack the courts anyway without getting the new justices. Okay, so what I want you to do during this unit is think about the life in the Great Depression. It says the Roaring Twenties was a prosperous and happy time for many Americans. Then something happened on October 29th, 1929, Black Tuesday. The stock market crashed. Life went from wonderful to completely depressing in a matter of hours. Many Americans lost their jobs, homes, and money, and were reduced to standing in lines for bread and soup. How will our great nation recover from such a devastating fall? And what is it that finally brings us out of the depression for good? These questions are about to be looked up and answered by you. So, what you are going to do is you are going to be a banker, broker, woman, farmer, factory worker, African American, or the elderly. Um, Tell me where this person lived, about their family, and any background information that you can provide, okay? Make this person a real person, okay? Even though I know it's not a real person, make it into a real person, okay? And then you need to research the era from the 1920s to the 1940s and into World War II. You will describe how your group fared during the Roaring Twenties and the hardships they faced after the stock market crash. As you look at what caused the Great Depression and how at least one of the programs of the New Deal helped you deal with the problems of the time. Please include the information about the individuals. Please also include information about the individual's resilience and its development during this time. Okay? So you need to create a presentation that shows your life before and during the Great Depression and the different things that affected you. Be sure to include everything on the rubric, including the works cited. Okay, here are some sources. I've looked up some digital collections. Lily.org is a great place to start. There's also an article from World Book Student that you can use the MLA citation for. President Roosevelt's first inaugural address is right there, and a list of primary sources and videos about FDR and the New Deal are right there. Okay, so this is what you're being graded on. You need to include an introduction that gives a comprehensive introduction of the individual highlighted, including profession, family, situation, place of residence, etc. Information about the 1920s. Provides a comprehensive and detailed information about the experiences during the 1920s, including relevant social, economic, and cultural aspects. And it demonstrates a deep understanding of the time period. And then after the crash of 1929, it tells me about the group's hardships and challenges faced after the stock market crash and explores the impact in their lives and livelihood. It needs to have appropriate pictures. You don't have to draw them yourself, okay? You can find them on the internet. But they need to be appropriate and they need to help me to understand the story of the person. You need to have some creativity and originality and engage the audience and convey the chosen group's experiences during the Great Depression. And then works cited in MLA format needs to be comprehensive, and then the grammar needs to be done well. Okay? If you have any questions about this project or the discussion or anything else at all, please let me know. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.